Welcome back to Room and Board. This is part 2 of the previous series of us going through our Niagara Board Gaming Convention weekend and ranking all the games that we played. For me, I'm ranking all the new ones and leaving the other ones off the list, but I will talk about those as honorable mentions at the end of this video. Let's get right back to it. To what number were we on?
10.
Zach?
Going to number 10, I think.
Yeah, but we got to cut that. So don't
all right, here.
I'm saying what number are we on.
Ask me
and
that
then there's
again.
going to be a pause.
Here. Chris. Just ask me that 16 times. I'll answer with a different number each time.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, cool. I'm good.
So let's move on. Zach, you're up next.
1.
Yeah, see how I changed it? I changed it so that it would be applicable.
Yeah, I know. Okay. One more time. One more go.
I don't need it.
Okay, fine.
What are we on, Zach?
Twice as smart as you could be.
That's not what it's called.
I just have twice as written.
Twice as clever.
Twice as clever.
Number 10 is what Zach is, which is twice as clever.
Twice as clever is...
Ganshan clever, also what it's...
Ganshan clever?
Or something, yeah.
Yeah, it's a neat little roll and write. You chuck dice. You have a little card that has 4 or 5 different puzzles on it.
Oh, Ganshan clever is That's So Clever. But it's a series of games called Ganshan Clever. There's like 4 of them.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. You have a little card. It has a number of different sort of puzzles on them that are each associated with a different dice. You take, I think, 5 dice. You roll them. You use 2 of them to work on some of your puzzles. The other ones go into the center for all the other players in the game to use.
And they use one of them,
They use one of those dice to also work on the same puzzles. And the goal is just to get the most points by the end. And I enjoyed that game quite a bit. It's a fun little puzzle. It takes like quite a bit of concentration. The teach isn't too bad, but it is pretty complex.
It's just because you got to know what everything does, right?
Yeah.
Like in any of those roll and writes where there's a bunch of combos, you got to know the system so that you can formulate your plan before.
And again, I think this is a little filler game. I think we literally played it between 2 other games, but it's ranking so much higher than Metro X for me, even though it's a very similar thing. Roll dice, write a number. Is I want to play this game again. I played it and I immediately was like, I can do better. I can get a better score.
Yeah.
I want to use more white dice next time. I think it's an exciting puzzle, and I do want to play it again.
Cool.
I want to prove I'm twice as clever, and not just
what was it?
Regular clever.
Twice as smart as you are.
Twice as smart as you think you are.
I want to become that. That's my number 10.
Good number 10. My number 10 was a game neither of you played. It is the 4th iteration of Azul Queen's Garden. I hadn't yet played it. I was excited to play it. And this is one that we played with the Chris expansion. Very similar to the Dominant Species Marine Zach expansion. The Chris expansion, I think, made this maybe lower or maybe higher.
It's funny because I heard a lot about the Zach expansion, but there was radio silence about this Chris expansion on the weekend.
First I'm hearing of it.
Well, I didn't want to tell you about it because I was ashamed. Here's what happened.
Get your pitchforks.
Kara said, "Hey, Chris, have you played Azul Queen's Garden?" And I said, "No." She said, "Let's do it." I said, "Great," thinking that Kara knew how to play it. She said, "Nope." Handed me the box, walked off to get a snack, and was like, "Learn it by the time I get back." And I was like, "Okay." So I know how to play Azul, so I attributed a lot of this similar thinking to Azul as I did with this, and the rulebook is bad. The rulebook for this is really bad. At one point, it introduces initial concepts. It says, hey, these symbols are worth this amount of points and cost you this many tiles to get rid of. So there's worth 5 points. You have to throw away 5 tiles to place it on your board.
Okay.
You're creating patterns and that sort of stuff. So I was like, okay, this is worth that number of points. Then later on in the rulebook, it says, at the end of this round, score a number of points. What number? Don't know. You would assume that it would be the number of points indicated by the first thing you read in the rulebook being that saying these things are worth this number of points. It's not that. It's these other point symbols that are around the board. That was wrong, step 1.
Okay.
Step 2, in normal Azul, you have these little factories. They all have 4 little tiles on them.
Yeah.
And you pick from one of those factories. In Azul Queen's Garden, you have a stack of basically factories. You add 4 tiles to one. When somebody takes off that stack, it moves to the side and a new kind of factory comes up.
Okay.
You would assume, since it's called Azul, it should follow, the same
principles of Azul.
It doesn't.
Oh.
You get to take everything from all of the things that are up instead of just one tile. So it kind of accelerates the amount of options you have. It didn't really impact that. We found that one out like halfway through and we pivoted and we kind of felt that it was a similar vibe, but the actual rules are better. It's a neat little puzzle. It doesn't feel like the other Azuls. And I think if you want more Azul, don't get it. If you want a different Azul that's like a fun little pattern laying thing, because you're basically just building towards the end, then it's interesting. The other qualm that I had with it is that, like, as you go through the rounds, you score like the 1 point symbols in the first round, and you score like all the 6 point symbols in the last round. So you can just get the 6 point symbols at the beginning, and they're going to be worth the same amount of points anyway, eventually, right? So it doesn't feel like there's much of a choice of why you should get the 1 point symbols versus the 6 point symbols, because you're going to score them anyway, and they're going to be worth more points down the line than the 1 point. Right. So in fact, it was 1 and then 3 scored. But even still, like, that was a weird scoring aspect of it. Even still, this is one that I really want to play again with like the rules. I think it was slick. I like Azul, and this I want to play it again because we played it kind of incorrectly for half of it. But even still, it was still enjoyable, and like the pattern making in Azul is always kind of satisfying. So that's why, that was my number 10, Queen's Garden. I'd play it again for sure.
My number 10 is a game that I had played before, and I played it regular, and then I played it with the expansion. QE. QE is my number 10.
Number 10.
The reason why it is not lower on the list is because of the expansion. The base game is fun. You know, you're kind of bidding on different companies. You're a country. You're bidding on different sectors of different companies or whatever, like manufacturing, housing, tech, and whatnot. I think
none of the theme matters. A tile's flipped up. It's got points on it. It's got a symbol that you want to match.
You're trying to match.
Bid money on it.
Yeah, you're trying to match your country, or you're trying to get a certain amount of that type or whatnot, and you can bid whatever you want.
Yeah,
that's what makes it a lot of fun. Is you can write $1, you can write $1 billion. It doesn't matter. You are just writing your bid, sliding it over to the auctioneer, who the auctioneer is setting the bid price. So you can bid either higher or lower than the auctioneer, and if you bid the highest, the auctioneer then writes your bid on the back of that tile, slides it over to you, and nobody else knows what you bid besides yourself and the auctioneer. And
so if you bid high and the auctioneer sees it, they understand
the threshold.
The threshold. Because I think the other important part of this game is whoever bids the highest at the end of the game loses no matter how many points they have.
Yeah, you get 0 points.
So everyone around the table is trying to quietly bid lower than the highest bidder,
but still win every tile in the middle. Yeah,
it's a really fun back and forth.
Yeah, it is a fun just base game, but with the addition of the commodities expansion, it really does add a feeling of, oh, I'm still in this, because regular, only the person who bids the highest would get that tile. So you can go the whole game and be outbid and not get a single tile. But at least with the commodity, if you are the second highest bidder, you'll receive
something.
You'll receive that commodity, and you can still score points based on the regular tiles you gain and the commodity tiles you gain. And then there's different rules for each different commodity on how to score them, and it added a whole other layer of, okay, good, even if I didn't get the tile I wanted and I got the commodity, I'm still in the game.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't feel like I was being kind of left behind.
One of the other really exciting things about that expansion as well is if I was the auctioneer and Colin had the second highest bid, I would deduct his second highest bid from my bid.
Total.
From my bid total at the end of the game.
Total. Yeah.
So as an auctioneer, I can set a high bid, and the risk is that everyone bids lower than me and I have to eat that. But the benefit is if more than one person bids higher than me, the second highest bidder, I get to minus from my list.
Mhm.
So there's an incentive for the auctioneer to push the bidding always up a little higher.
Yeah.
And you know what your second highest bids were and what your highest bids were, and it's very cool. It's very cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's your number 10.
That was my number 10.
On to number 9, Zach.
Number 9, Castles of Burgundy. I like Castles of Burgundy quite a bit. I don't remember what day.
Yeah, this was your first time playing it.
This was my first time
Yeah.
playing Castles of Burgundy. I think we played it like midway through one of the days.
Yeah.
Like we'd played some things before it, we'd played some things after it.
I thought you started with it. I thought I came down and saw you playing it.
Well, it was midway through the day.
Oh, right.
But it was the first game we played of that day.
Oh, I thought we played.
Doesn't matter.
Whose memory are you going to trust?
I got a game to teach you guys
over here.
I got a game to teach you guys. It's called Dominant, Speed, and Marine.
Oh, perfect.
But anyway, I really enjoyed that game. The puzzle was really fun. The whole game, the flow of it was very fun. I think in a lot of like Euro-ish sort of games of that sort of flavor, there's a lot of not interacting with other players. But the fact that we were all picking tiles off the same board, we were all competing for the same resources, and the whole little map building part of it, it was just consistently engaging. I really, really enjoyed that game. Castles of Burgundy.
Well, Zach, that is also one of the new additions to the World Series of Board Gaming happening this September in Vegas, September 24th to 28th. I talk about it a lot on the channel. Everybody knows that, like, I work for them, so.
The World Series of Board Gaming?
Yeah, the World Series of Board Gaming.
I've never heard of it. What is it?
I want everybody who watches this video up to this point to just comment shill in the comments. I want to see nothing else. I want to see 200 comments that just say shill.
Oh, God.
That's pretty good, yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I could pay myself for ads.
For
ads. It's like I've got an ad budget to spread to other content creators.
Oh,
but
that's funny.
yeah, I haven't quite crossed that line. I'm like, I think Room and Board is a very lucrative channel for ads, so make it happen. Everybody come to Vegas. Come to Vegas. All right, good number 9. That was number 9?
Yep.
My number 9 is a little roll and write that neither of you played as well. It's called Divvy Dice. This one was fun. This was a better filler than Metro X, I think. Kind of in that Twice as Clever, Ganchan Clever zone, right? It kind of hits in that same area. You're rolling a bunch of dice on your turn. You'll have a number of little cards. You can get more cards and build sort of a 3x3 tableau. You're gonna have 9 cards in total, and each card has a different scoring condition on it. So I might want that card to be beside yellow cards because then it gets more points.
Okay.
That's the whole game. You can also get bonuses that give you not points but give you powers that you can use to be more efficient with your dice.
Okay.
And so if I roll the dice, if I like what I see, I can use the dice. Great. Pass it on to the next player.
Yeah.
It's 5 dice, 5 different colors. I roll the dice. I don't like what I see. I can save some and re-roll others. But before I get to use those re-rolls, everyone around the table gets to use one of those re-rolls.
Oh,
I still get to use all of them as well, but they can choose it like Ganchan Clever, taking for the middle. And then if I want to re-roll again, great. But then everybody else gets another one.
So they're basically getting a free die.
Yeah. So you kind of have to choose, but you have to fill out your entire card all at once. And so you're going to have to do these re-rolls, but it's how you fill those in and how you kind of manipulate around the table. I thought it was really slick. It was fun. We ended up playing it really quickly before we went for sushi. Sushi's my number 5 probably on this list. That was a good sushi place. Win Sushi in Niagara. It was just nice, solid. I feel if you like Ganchan Clever, also one worth checking out. I think it said Ganchan Clever on the side of the box, so I'm pretty sure it's by the same company. Yeah, that's my number 9.
My number 9 is Century Golem Edition. That was my first time playing any Century game, so the Golem Edition was a very fun introduction into the title. It's just a nice, quick, easy buy from the pool game based with your gems that you get. You play. It's almost like a deck builder, but it's more of a hand builder because you don't really have a deck.
You'd call it like hand management.
Hand management because you're drafting cards into you're buying cards from the middle, but you're also trying to save up the gems that you receive from playing those cards to buy golems that have points associated with them, and you get bonus points for buying certain ones. And it was just I played it twice over the weekend, and both times I played it, I had a great time.
Yeah.
I played it with different people each time.
Yeah.
And I just had a lot of fun playing it. Quick, easy game.
It's just an efficiency puzzle.
It's just, it's an efficiency puzzle, and it was a lot of fun. And I would recommend anybody, if they were like, oh, my friend suggested this, go ahead, play it.
Right.
Like, I would recommend people play that game.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed Century Golem.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you won.
I did win.
Yeah.
But regardless of that, I think as we were playing it, you were like, oh, it's kind of like Splendor. Or you mentioned it was like a game like
People
Splendor.
refer to it as the Splendor Killer.
I'm going to get my harpoon and we're going to go hunt some Splendor because I agree.
I disagree. I like Splendor significantly more than Century, but I feel like I'm in maybe a minority there.
From hell's heart, I stab at thee, Splendor.
Yeah. All right, so that was your number.
That was my number 9.
That was your number 9? Yeah. Zach?
Number
It didn't
8.
make my list because I shortened my list, but I'll tell you where it would have slotted in afterwards.
Number 8 on my list is Lords of Hellas.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I forgot you played that.
Yeah.
I think it would be higher on my list if I was playing with more people.
Yeah, you played a 2-player
I
version.
played it 2-player. There was a fellow at the con. He had a copy of Lords in Hellas with every Kickstarter expansion. He was very excited to play it. And I played your version of Lords of Hellas, which is just, I think, the retail copy.
Just the base, yeah.
And I really enjoyed it. Kicked your butt in that, so
You
I was
did.
excited to do that again.
Yeah.
And
Zach came over to me. He's like, I'm going to use the same strategy I used on you on him, and I'm going to win very quickly. I was like, yeah, okay.
it nearly worked. But he was much better than me. So I really enjoyed that game. If you've never played Lords of Hellas, it's sort of like Risk.
Big area control.
Big area control game.
4 ways to win.
4 ways to win. In a 2-player game, there's only 3 ways to win.
Right.
And the other different ways to win don't involve... There's one way that involves controlling the map. There's one way that involves just building a monument. There's another way to win that involves hunting monsters, because it's set in ancient Greece. You hunt the Hydra, the Cyclops. And so you can race each other towards these victory conditions. This copy, because it was the Kickstarter copy, the first time I've ever played any of the expansions, got me... when we played your version, I was like, you don't need any of the expansions. It's a great game.
Yeah.
And after playing it with the expansions, I was like, some of these expansions are probably worth it. Yeah, I wish I had played that game with more people, because I think I would have lost less quickly. Yeah. Because I went for a big dominate the board strategy, like we went with you.
Yeah.
But the other player, his hero was Hercules.
Well, yeah, your other player just didn't run into danger and get frozen in time. That's what I did.
That happened to you.
And couldn't move. And so you had full reign of the board? Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I definitely...
You also, when we played, you weren't even going for the controlling the map.
I wasn't.
You didn't even realize I was taking over temples.
I was trying to go for monsters, and I just wasn't doing it very well.
No, I know. You were doing it in the least efficient way possible.
And then you just won, and you're like, I win. I was like, oh, I didn't do anything.
Yeah, the player I played with at the con knew how the game worked. And yeah, I had a blast. It was a little rough starting out because we didn't know what were expansions and what weren't. And we had to read rule books and we had to sort plastic out. And so that took a little long, but once we got over that hump, it's a sweet game. It's a slick, fun game. Lords of Hellas, I enjoyed it.
Number 8.
My
number 8 is a game neither of you played as well. It's Foundations of Rome. The big box, the big cube that takes up the entire calyx. It's a game, because I don't know if I even talked to you about how to play it. Basically, there's a board, and you get little control markers over that board. And you want to purchase the markers that are next to the ones where you start, because then you can build even bigger buildings on them. And the more buildings you have on the board, the more points and or money you can get. And so on your turn, you can claim you can buy one of these cards, which will allow you to claim a spot on the board. You can build something using the spots you have on your board. Every building's free. What costs you money is claiming the spots. Or you can take money equal to like the income on the board. So you want to stockpile the money so that when that clutch spot comes out, you can purchase it before anyone else, right? But you want to make sure you're using your other actions effectively as you go on. I thought it was fun. I don't think the production value is silly. That's what it is. The production value is silly. It doesn't need to be this big. It doesn't need to be that expensive. This is why people like it. I know so many of you are clutching your foundations of Rona saying, don't listen to him. Don't listen to the bad man.
They can't clutch at Foundations of Rome. No one has arms that long.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're trying. but you've been crushed under the weight of it as you try to pull it off the shelf quickly. It's fun, and I understand how the plastic is very visually appealing, and it was set up on the same table the entire game.
Every time I walked in that room, I looked at it and I thought, I want to play that game.
I really wanted to play it too.
But it was just okay.
Okay.
It was good. I enjoyed my time. If it was a smaller game, I don't know if I'd pull it out as much because I don't know how exciting the bidding is. Mm-hmm. And if it was a larger game, I don't know if I'd pull it out as much because I don't care about the minis. I care about the actual mechanics of the game. And for me, the mechanics of the games weren't that exciting. I played it at 5 players. I don't know. You can say, oh, it's better at 4. Oh, it's better at 4. And then then shrink the box so it only has 4 players. I think 5 players was a fun game. The board kind of got built up, but you had less space to maneuver. There's an interesting thing of using your building. There are buildings that get you points too, and where you place them and how you can envision how the other people are going to build there is a really neat thing to balance out. But for me, it was good. It was good. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad. It was better than fine. It was good.
And that's why it's number...
I don't know. 9?
8?
I think it's 9. I think it's 9. What was your
No, it was 8. We're on 8.
I think it's 8.
That was number 8 on your list.
Yeah, it's number 8.
Yeah.
Look at him waffle.
It's wherever it is.
Yeah. Well, number 8 on my list is Twice as Clever, the dice rolling game. Zach and I had played it together, and to me, that is what, Chris, you had said Metro X is like the perfect filler.
I didn't say it was a perfect filler. I said it was a nice filler.
Twice as Clever, to me, is a much better filler.
I'd probably agree with that, too.
It is, it's just simple enough, but yet complex enough that you feel challenged, but you don't feel over-challenged. Where once you play it a couple of times through, you learn the patterns and learn what puzzles you need to complete to get the most amount of points. You're going to have so much fun strategically picking the dice that you want to pick that somebody else might not want to use for their puzzle. And I wish it was longer. It plays 4 rounds. And for me, I wish it was maybe 6 rounds to make it feel like some of the sections on the scorecard of the puzzles you're trying to complete don't feel wasted or feel like you should be using more of it. Because there's like, I think 4 or 5 sections on the scorecard where you're trying to like cross off with the die that you roll associated with the color and number. And sometimes you might have already rolled that number on that color and you only use that color puzzle once.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like if it was maybe 2 rounds longer.
I think that's what keeps you coming back, though.
Sure. Maybe that, but I still think it's 6 rounds. It's still a very quick game.
When you said you wanted to be longer, I thought you meant like you want an 8.5, 11 sheet full of like 10 different puzzles.
I just want
to. I was nodding my head, being like, "Yes, give me that. Give me the big version of this game."
I think for what it is a filler game, and I think just adding 2 more rounds would make it feel like the scorecard isn't wasted in certain sections. To me, at least.
I know what you mean. I remember feeling that when I played it as well, and then I think upon reflection, I was like, oh, then I would be able to do all the stuff I wanted to do. And if you could do everything, then it wouldn't be as replayable because then you couldn't go down certain paths. You'd get more powers, right?
That's fair.
And so then your choices become more expansive, and then the replayability becomes like less. I think that would be my...
That's a very fair argument, Chris.
Take a leaf out of my book. You got to concede, Colin.
You know what? I concede. Chris made a lot of good points, and you know what? I like it at 4. I like it at 4 rounds.
Well, that's what you were saying. You love it at 4, and you didn't want it anymore.
You know what? Yeah. If we replay the tape, I think that's what I said.
That's what you said.
But that was my number 8.
All right, we're moving on to number 7.
Number 7, Dominant Species.
Nice.
Marine. Dominant Species Marine. When I played it with you before the con, I was lukewarm on it. At the con, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I started, like, the puzzle is a little complicated, mostly in just the names of the different actions you can take. And some of the actions you can take in this worker placement game have an effect that is delayed by 2 turns, 3 turns, right? That when you take them there, you're not getting an immediate bonus. You're not even necessarily taking something away from someone else or hurting them. It's having an effect that you will not see the result of for a turn or two. And it's for that reason, it's really hard to gauge the value of those actions on the board.
Yeah.
The more I play Dominant Species, the more I will like it. I liked it much more the second time, even with my horrible rule mistakes.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to note, when we played it, I taught the game wrong, and we scored it wrong. But the core gameplay loop was not broken, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just the scoring.
Yeah, the placing of markers, the way species spread on the board, the way we were trying to manage food and things like that.
You just scored everything more than it should have been scored. But you scored that kind of across the board, so you could probably shrink the scores down, and it would have had a similar result.
Yeah.
Basically, what I'm getting at is the core gameplay of this game. Very fun, super enjoy it, would play again.
Nice. Yeah, it's fun. I really like it too. Yeah. That's number 7?
That's number 7.
My number 7 is a little game called Bagh Chal. And you know what? I put this here because I do like this little abstract thing. I'm enamored with it, I think, more than I should be. Let's be real. The actual core gameplay of it, even just doing right now, I was like, kind of solved it.
We started playing and I was like, oh, I can't win this. Every time you place one here, I'm just backing up.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I figured it out. But, but before, hey, I hadn't played it yet here and figured that out. No, and then also I like putting this tiny little pay what you want Kickstarter package right above Foundations of Rome to really like snub it. That's also what brings me joy of this placement in this list. But I thought it was, a cute little abstract game. This is to represent the abstract game that you can put in your pocket, hive pocket. Right, something along those little chest-like scenarios where you can just pull it out, play quickly. I actually really enjoyed it, and I don't lean towards abstracts a lot. And I think that's why I did really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because I was like, this is fine. I really backed it more because to support the Kickstarter, honestly, to support what they were doing, versus actually being interested in the game. And then I pulled it out. I'm not often one to have games in my pocket, so I was like, Zach and I were waiting for Don't Mess with Cthulhu to for the round to finish. So I was like, perfect, I got this thing, let's just bang out a couple rounds. And I like chess, I like that sort of abstract, and I was like, it was a nice realization that I do like those abstract games, and that I would enjoy playing them more. So I think that's what it encompasses with this pick and this placement of kind of where it fell, and that's the reason.
Yeah, my last thoughts on Bagh Chal, and I think Colin would agree, you lose fast enough that it doesn't really matter.
Exactly.
You can like it as much as you like, Chris.
Chris didn't even need to place the rest of his goats, and I knew that I had lost.
Yeah, you sit down, you pulls out his pocket, you lost. And then you can just go play another game.
I think he just does that so he can pump up his win ratio on his app.
There must be some sort of ego thing going on.
Need more plays. Anyway, that's my number 7. Right over Foundations of Rome.
My number 7 is Castles of Burgundy.
Nice.
It was another game that I had played with Zach.
Similar.
A lot of the games on mine and Zach's list we did play together.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's number 7 on my list. It was one of those games, like everything you had said, Zach, like buying, all 4 of us buying from the same warehouse, kind of technically, and like getting resources, getting different land, and making our boards and filling out the different sections with the different terrain, and all of our boards being different, and all of us kind of had different goals, like different sub-goals of the same goal, but being first player in that game holds a lot of weight.
Yeah.
So it's making sure, and it does fall down again a little bit to chance by rolling the die and using the die that you have available to you, but at a certain point, you kind of realize, I can buy things no matter what number of die I roll, but you can only place things with the certain number that you have. But I thought it was just a really fun hour-long game that...
It only took you an hour? That's pretty good.
About an hour and a half.
Probably about that, yeah.
Yeah, about an hour and a half.
I felt like it was a little slow at the start, but by the end
That's
it was
good
just
for
cooking.
a 4-player. That's really good for a 4-player, yeah.
But it was a very fun game, and that is another game on my list that I would buy.
Yeah?
That's a buy on my list.
Nice. Cool.
You have Castle Burgundy, right?
I do, yeah.
I'm
Okay,
not gonna buy
perfect.
it.
I'll steal it from Chris.
Yeah. A really crunched copy behind me. So.
Perfect. I'll take damaged things.
Honestly, you can probably have it because I'll be getting a new one for running World Series
Oh.
regional qualifiers. So when that
Okay, then.
happens, yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
sure.
look out.
Remember
yeah.
all the comments. Shill.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this, but Castle of Burgundy
We'll
is
be at
in
the-
World Series of Board Gaming, September 24th, 28th in Las Vegas.
Mhm.
I want to see a slice of this ad rep.
Here it is.
Oh!
All right, number 7, on to number 6.
Yes,
The
Zach.
garbage before the top 5.
The garbage before the top 5.
Yeah.
The trash before the heap of the century. It's Golem Century
Century
Edition.
Golem Edition.
Okay.
Yeah. I really enjoyed this game. Like I said, I think it's better than Splendor.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's so cute. The art is like
Mhm.
so cute. And that's enough to almost sell me right there. Seeing like my little golem being a bridge, and my other little golem just being an anchor underneath the water, just sitting there. I was sitting there. I was looking at a little picture. I was like, "How long you been under there, golem? How long you been sitting on the bottom of this ocean? You've got coral growing on you. Are you lonely
Oh.
down there? It's a good game. It's gorgeous. I want to play it again."
Yeah, the pieces are really nice. I
Yeah.
will say I played it for the first time in 2020 Niagara Board Game Convention, which was the time that I went, and I was like, this is fine. I enjoyed it more on this second play.
Yeah.
I still would have put it at after Cover Your Assets before Don't Mess with Cthulhu, so it would have been that like 13-14 area for me. But I'm just probably bitter because you smoked me and I couldn't catch up. So
Yeah.
it's probably that. Yeah, the pieces were really satisfying. I enjoyed it significantly more. I remember not enjoying it the first time, and then this time I was like, you know what? Okay, I'm on board. Like I would happily play it again, pull it out very quickly. Like I'd be cool with it.
I mean, I did beat in that game. The first golem I bought just because I thought he looked so cute. He was a dam, and the water coming through the dam looked like he was crying. And I was like, I can't leave him in the store alone. I have to buy him.
He was worth 20 points.
Yeah.
That didn't help.
That was incidental,
Oh
Colin.
yeah, sure. That's the reason.
All right.
All right.
True colors.
My number 6 is a game. Also, now that you played this, we did play some games together.
We
didn't play
did.
a lot,
Yeah, we
but,
did.
But it's cool that we. I was excited for us to go off and
Yeah.
play different games and be able to come back, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to do this video, and just to hear your ranking as well. For, for fun. And as Zach knows, our friendship is only content, and now you fall into that category too, Colin.
All right. Well.
My number 6 is Hadrian's Wall. So Hadrian's Wall is the first game that I played. This is what you saw me finishing up when you came down from Dominant Species. It's a big roll and write. I was really excited to play this. I think it hit my expectations. You have these 2 big pads. You wanted a longer Ganchan Clever. Well, you don't roll dice in this, but you do have this sort of combo. The combo things that chain together.
Oh, okay.
You'll get a bunch of resources. Everyone gets the same amount of resources at the start, and then you can use those resources to do different things and like up your different levels of stuff. So there's all these different mini games going on. It just combos together really nicely. Just satisfying, fun. I like complex roll and writes. I like the way that sort of is going with more roll and writes having that level of complexity and not the Ganchan Clever, because I like it, right? I like that sort of bingo mechanic if everybody gets the same thing and it's how you use it.
Yeah.
And yeah, Hadrian's Wall was quite fun. So I really enjoyed that one. And that would be one that I have, like, at this point I've got a lot of games, so it's like, would I pick that one up? I'm not sure if I would, but I would absolutely play it any day of the week if somebody wanted to play it. I thought it was a great time. I think we're in great territory.
Oh, yeah.
now,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, so that was my number 6. Hadrian's Wall.
All right.
What you got, Colin?
On to my number 6, Captain Sonar. Captain Sonar
Oh, yeah, I
is a
forgot you
lot
hadn't mentioned
higher
it.
on my list than these two. I think one of the main reasons why it's high on my list is due to the fact that it is in real time.
Yeah.
I
that's cool.
really, really, really love that aspect. It is so much fun to just be part of chaos. Like, it is a chaotic game because there is a lot of kind of yelling back and forth between the different roles that you're playing.
That's how you got to play it, I think.
Exactly.
Is that real time.
Yeah, the turn-based version is not a version
I would
anyone
wanna
should ever
play.
Or I'd play it to 1v1. You know what I mean?
Or
I'd play
1v1,
1v1
yeah.
turn-based. I would be interested in that because then I'd mark where you are.
Exactly.
I'd have
I can
I'd
do
like,
all my
what
roles.
should I do? I think 1v1 turn-based would be fun.
Now, and I think it's higher on my list due to the roles that I played. I played my first game as the engineer.
We played the same one. I really like doing that.
I really like the role of the engineer because I feel like that is the most complex role of the 4.
Yeah, you have to manage, you didn't play it, but you have to manage the symbols, and you can cross them. You can make them working again if they go in the right direction. So you're like, okay, go north now. Boom, and you feel really good.
Each direction breaks a piece of the sub, and you have to cross that off.
Yeah.
And then different sections, they're all connected via piping.
Yeah.
And if you go like, okay, Captain, I need to go north twice to fix it. As soon as he does that double north, you cross that off and you can go in any direction again. And then the second time I played, I don't know the name of the role, but I was the person in charge of listening to the other captain and mapping out where I thought they were.
Yeah.
And that role was very fun because I wasn't doing anything besides listening to the other team. You were the captain at that point, and listening to Chris give his directions. And then once you got to a certain point where they surfaced, and then we had to get certain information from them, I was quickly able to pinpoint where you were. And once I relayed that information to my captain, we were able to quite handedly shoot you out of the water.
Yeah, that's true. I think if I hadn't been captain second, I would have enjoyed it more. I liked the role that we played.
Yeah.
To start, it was a fun little
I think
game.
Engineer, out of all the 4 roles, I think Engineer is the best because it comes with a lot more complexity to it, and it's a lot more challenging for a real-time game. It just adds that hyperness of like, oh crap, I got to be on top of this and making sure I'm giving the right things. And so I feel like the Engineer role in real-time Captain Sonar is the best role.
But what was interesting too is since I played captain second, I was so aware of what the engineer needed that all my directions were based around helping the engineer. I was like, okay, we got to go south now. I'm like, engineer, what do you need? It's like I wasn't even piloting the ship. I was like letting the engineer do it. And then that gave like just a straight line down. And then I'm like, oh, well, it's very clear where we are because it's just a giant straight line and I haven't like gone anywhere else. And by that time we'd exploded.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I agree with you. I had fun with Captain Sonar. Again,
I thought it was great.
Again, like I had a great time this entire weekend.
Oh yeah,
it's just the levels of time and whatever. Nice, good number 6.
That was my number 6.
Number 5.
Number 5. Number 5. Nemesis Lockdown.
I thought this might be here.
Yeah. So I think if this was a list, not of the games we played this weekend, this was a list of like the games I've ever played and what I think of them. I think this list the positions would shifted around a bit. But I'm going to put Lockdown right here. There was a couple of people at the con who had a copy of Nemesis Lockdown who had never played it, and they were looking for someone to teach it.
They're who I played Hadrian's Well with. And they said, we brought Nemesis, but we don't know if anyone can teach it. I was like, I can teach it. Or even better, Zach can teach it. Because he knows he's better to teach than I am.
I love Nemesis Lockdown. And when I heard someone wanted to learn how to play it, I was like, yes, I will teach that game. And when I went over to teach it, I realized I hadn't read the rule book. They didn't quite know what was going on. I was like, you know what? I love this game. I'll play it with you guys. And I super enjoyed that game. I won't go into the whole story.
It was again a fun story.
It was, if I could, you would enjoy that story, but we don't have the time.
I think we do. Give them the Cole's notes of what happened at the end.
Cole's notes. There was a character who was playing the survivor, and they kept bumping into aliens, and they start with no weapon, so they just had their fists, and they fist fought, I think, 3 or 4 aliens.
Which is incredible.
That's insane.
And their objective was to explore the top floor and the middle floor, but they start in the basement. And so they had to fist fight their way, like it was a John Wick movie, up from the basement to the middle floor to the top floor. And in so doing, they took so many wounds. Their legs were broken. They couldn't pick things up with their hands. They couldn't use items. They'd use extra cards to move around. And so once they'd finished exploring the top floor, they needed to get out. And they decided the easiest way to get out was to lock themselves in the jail at the bottom in the basement again. So they started limping down towards the basement. Meanwhile, the other player we were playing with needed to send the radio signal back to Earth, activate the alert procedure, which is done in the alert room, and then get out. And I had already done everything I had to do. I had to send the signal, and I think I needed to get some knowledge. And so the other player and I had not bumped into any aliens the entire game. We were having a whale of a time. We were just helping each other out. I run to the escape pods because I know when the next escape pod's coming out. And I think, because everyone has told me, it's safe to go on the escape pods. The company isn't going to kill people in the escape pods in the game. I shove myself in an escape pod, launch myself into space. Turns out at the end of the game, everyone lied to me. The company kills everyone in the escape pods. I die even though I succeeded my mission. The other player who just needed to send the signal and hit the alert procedure does it. He sends a signal. He hits the alert procedure. He's running for the escape. No, he hadn't sent the signal yet.
He hadn't sent the signal yet. Yeah.
And he was running for the signal room. And he happened to be running through the prison on the same turn that the beat-up survivor
dragged his carcass.
Dragged his broken legs into the prison. The prison was the escape condition of the survivor, and the survivor locked them both in the prison, ending the game.
Before the other guy
could send the signal. So I died, lost the game. The other guy couldn't send the signal, was trapped in prison, lost the game. The alien fist fighter with broken legs won the game by locking themselves in prison at the end. It was such an exciting end.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed that game. And I think I would only push it down to level 5 on my thing, just because I spent the whole time teaching.
Yeah.
And there were aspects of the game that we didn't like. There wasn't a whole lot of like bluffing or trying to kill each other and stuff, just because people didn't know the game as well, right?
Yeah. But it seems like they were bluffing, which is also
they were
a great
bluffing
reveal
the whole
at
time.
end. Yeah.
Not like how we normally play.
Yeah, honest
And integrity.
Yeah. I like
honest Orville.
I like Lockdown. It was a really fun play. But it's number 5 on my
good old honest
Orville.
My number 5 is. Am I gonna switch this? No, I'll keep it as it is. Yeah, I'm gonna switch it. My number 5 is QE with the commodities expansion. This was number 4. I'm calling an audible right now. I'm pushing number 4 up. No, I've already said it, so that I'm committed to it. This is very close between these two. I really enjoy QE. I like the base game. I think commodities helps fix a lot of base game. I'll probably do like a designated review on it as well, just to cover it all. So I won't go on in too much detail because they sent me the copy for review. So therefore, I want to put out a designated review video. But yeah, the commodities kind of helps fix one of the problems, which is if somebody bids $1 million right away, then the other people could just not bid $1 million. They just lower their range, and that person's out of the game, right? But with the commodities, because you get subtracting off of your stuff, and people want the commodities because they're good, you get that more aggressive bidding, and there's more free form. I really liked. This is on because I hadn't yet played with the commodities expansion. This is my first time playing with it, and seeing the changes of it really made me excited. And I lost too. I bid the most. By like our scores at the end were almost like I was like 24,346,000, and then Yuval was 24,364,000. But then he had an additional discount. Yeah. But just like how close those were, made it really just a fun game and a really exciting finish. Really really fun auction game. I quite enjoyed it a lot. But I was at 4, but now it's lower because I think also because I've played the base game now like a bunch. Yeah. And this is my first time doing the expansion. And so the one that I didn't play, I'm sure has some like sort of recency bias, a new game that I didn't really know. This is my cheat again. But that's why I lowered it to number 5, and I'm prioritizing the new for me one a little bit higher.
My number 5 is a game that I've played before a bunch, and I know you guys have probably played before a bunch. It's Avalon, but specifically the big box version that Chris has. And we didn't add any of the newer characters that are in the big box edition, but Avalon...
We added the plot cards.
Right.
So the leader gets to hand out a special power to 2 people. It's based on player count, to 2 people around the table, and then they can do either an immediate effect or a hold on to it for later.
Or an ongoing effect.
And it just added a really nice... I think it's my favorite aspect of the big box that I've played with all the other characters even too. Yeah.
But the reason why it's on my list that high is because it is, in my opinion, the best social deduction game out there.
It's my favorite.
And it's a buy on my list. I know Chris has a copy, but I want to buy my own copy.
Yeah. You don't have a copy of Avalon?
We do not. We have the Resistance.
You can have. I have 3.
He talks to you guys about saving money. He talks to you guys about being
Yeah,
frugal.
you can take
What
my,
is he?
You can take
No,
my,
he's got 3
my
copies of
my
one
regular
board
one,
game.
yeah.
I will gladly
Well, no,
take
because
that.
because I have the base one, and then I got
Okay.
the big box. That's 2.
Yeah.
And then I got it from my parents, and they hate it. And they said, "Please take this out of our house, give it to someone, sell it, whatever." And so I
Okay.
took it, and I haven't got
Well-
rid of it.
I take back everything I said.
That's my cut of the ad rev.
Oh no, I gave that one away, but I still have 2. So you have the other one. Yeah,
God, I
so
thought
there
I
you go.
got the highs and lows of
No,
this
I would-
YouTube
I
channel.
would buy you the big box if I made that promise. Nice, yeah. It was
Yeah.
also a particularly great game of Avalon.
Oh
so,
yeah, it was a lot of fun. But yeah, that's number 5 on my list.
Good number 5. Number 4, Zach?
Number 4, QE with the commodities expansion.
Oh, I shouldn't have moved it. We would've had crossover.
Yeah. I really enjoyed this game. The normal QE, the couple times I've played it, I've been like, oh, it's all right. I think it's like a real game with the commodities expansion. I love that in the game we played with the commodities expansion, everyone around the table knew that I was bidding the most.
Mm-hmm.
I bid the least.
Yeah.
It's because every time I got to place a bid with a new auctioneer, I always made sure it was like
Super
I was
high,
raising the bar. And so every time anyone saw my numbers, they were like, Zach's bidding the highest. But I was pushing up the general score. And
I'm just realizing this now.
it's so good. Yeah, it was so because I was winning almost every bid, and everyone was like, "Zach's blowing it out of the water. He's spent millions too many, tens of millions too many." And meanwhile, I'm not spending too much at all. I'm spending less than everybody. It's
I spent like 24 million. You were at like 5 million by the end.
ridiculous.
Yeah, it was really good.
But yeah, good game. I think fantastic game.
Yeah.
Play with some people. Have a laugh. Don't buy NFTs. NFTs are commodity in the game.
You bought the cryptos
Yeah.
and you did not get them.
I did not give him any points for cryptocurrency, but that's okay.
Nice. My number 4. Dang, I wish I had QE here now, but I'm really happy. This was kind of an exciting one. It's a game called Crisis. This is a game I'd never heard of before. This is what I played when I went down a little bit earlier, and you saw me in the upstairs part. It's a worker placement game, and it's really solid. And this is the one that I was mentioning in terms of John Company, where you're all managing this sort of company economy together, because it has a similar thing where there's like a company track, there's like an economy track, and that's the point tracker basically.
Okay.
And if everybody is below that point tracker, the game will end. And if you're below that point tracker, you also get 0 points if the game ends.
Ooh,
So
wow.
you need to get over that point tracker, and how it's determined if the game ends on the number of people over the point tracker and by how many points versus the number of people that are below the point tracker by how many points. But
Interesting.
if you tank the economy a little bit,
You can get above the point tracker?
no, there's one little spot on the board that, like, if you're in the red, it's like things are cheaper.
Okay.
It's not like it doesn't play a huge impact on stuff, but there's a fun little flow of like
Up
some
and down,
things.
and
I wish more things had that like attempt, and
Okay.
it's also was hard.
Yeah.
We lost on like turn 5. Or that's because one person was so far down, and this is the problem with this game. I think is that one person can just really drag it down. And so I wasn't sure where this one was going to fall for me, because I was like, I see the issue of one person just like making the game stop right away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like almost immediately before you can get your engine going. But I also think that's kind of a neat push and pull of you have to measure around the table, how much time do I have? How much time do I have before the end of the game? And will the strategy that I'm doing pan out, or should I pivot and try to get buildings that give me more points versus like invest in like a better engine moving forward?
Yeah.
So that one was really fun. I'd never heard of it at all. I think it came out in like 2016 or 2017, so it's like a fairly recent game. But yeah, really, really solid. Quite enjoyed that one. And I'm quite happy that he did. And so that's why in terms of John Company, I was like, that is in the game Crisis. And
let me just write that down on my list.
Yeah.
Not on my list, but on. I'm going to make another list beside
Yeah.
my list for things to look for.
I don't like I'm really torn because I don't know if I would purchase this one, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like, I don't know if it would bump out other things in the collection, but I liked playing it enough. I liked the experience that it gave me, and I liked, again, like maybe the hypothesis of the potentials that it could give. I don't know if it'll consistently deliver on those.
Yeah.
That would be my worry, and so
Okay.
I don't think I would pull the trigger to purchase it if I saw it. But if I saw it like secondhand, and now having played it, I might pick up a copy. I don't know how often I would get it off the shelf. But it reminds me a lot of the Manhattan Project too, which we've played.
Yeah. I like Manhattan
in terms of you're collecting your own bunch of buildings in front of you. And it would hit in that similar vibe as Manhattan Project. So I have Manhattan Project. I don't know if I'm going to hold on to Manhattan Project because like it was fun. But it doesn't necessarily replace other things.
Okay.
But I definitely did enjoy this experience and this play of it, and like was really happy to have played it and to have had that experience.
Okay.
So that's why I moved it up, because I was like, I really enjoyed the play, but I also, like, kind of comparatively don't know if it is a purchase, right? If it is a buy.
Got
I
it.
really enjoyed the play of it, but I don't know how many plays of it I would really enjoy to that extent. So that's my number 4.
My number 4 is Chris's very first game of the year of this year, Galactic Era.
That's true.
Galactic Era is number 4.
If you haven't seen my review on it, go check it out. Spoiler alert, game of the year.
Galactic Era is a phenomenal game.
Yeah.
It is, and I agree with Chris wholeheartedly, it is probably the game of the year. Like, it deserves that title.
I wanted to pump it up. I think it's fun.
It's
great.
So much fun. The intricacies that are involved, it looks daunting when you set it up and you read the rules.
It is daunting.
The iconography, there's just so much. But once you get a grasp of it, everything just flows so well together. And it's a work of art. I love that game. It was the 3rd time I'd played it, and every time I play it with a different faction, I learn something new about the game. And I can see myself, that is a game, I know Chris has it, but that is another game that I would like to buy myself.
Right.
Just to support the creator and also to have my own copy, because it is just that much fun.
Cool.
Yeah. I haven't talked about that on my list. Did I forget it? I don't know.
Well, the 3 of us played it in a 5-player game.
Yeah. It's not on my list because I removed all the games that I had played previously.
It was a game that I had played previously, but just how gorgeous and how much fun that game is, I could not have it on my list.
Yeah, I mean, I just sort of told a Nemesis lockdown story, but like, we could sit down and we could tell the story of our Galactic Era game on the con, and it would be... It's an epic. It's a story.
It is a space.
It's a story
epic.
of religious space monkeys and converting AI death
that
robots.
That was the Yowies.
Of genocide of space spirits. It's a good It's a good game.
It's fantastic. Everything makes sense. Everything lends itself to something else, and it just. I cannot get over. I can't speak its praises enough.
Yeah,
this game is fantastic.
I think something to also plug for that game of Galactic Era. It was me, Chris, and Colin who have played that game.
Yes,
2 new people.
3 times. That would have been our 3rd play.
That would have been our 3rd play. Yeah.
Yeah. And then 2 people who'd never played it before. And I also think very different gamers. I think they're a little bit more analytical gamers than we are.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit more fly by the seat of my pants. Do what feels fun. But like, after the teach, flowed like butter.
Oh yeah.
The teach was long.
Yeah.
And I'll say this one was low. Like I put the ones that I played before, I ranked them, and then I cut them for time so we could all like talk about things. This one was like it was lower for me, just this specific play, because of the amount of effort the teach does require. And so like I was already a bit drained. And then to have to like teach it actively for 4 hours again, like to these 2 people, and then like also try to pay attention to them who know what's going on and like don't have the weight of that teach. I definitely felt that, and I think mine, in terms of like plays of the convention, like it was a bit lower because I think it was my least favorite play of the game. Like I played it with you and played it other times.
It was a loud hall as well, and it's a lot of talking. like negotiating in the actual game, but then also just a lot of talking in the teach.
Yeah.
And so we had to be very loud, and different ends of the table couldn't quite hear each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I understand why you
But
Mark.
I still had a great time.
Yeah.
All right, Zach, number 3.
Number 3, Avalon. That game of Avalon, we talked about it a couple times.
Yeah.
Maybe my most favorite individual game of Avalon ever.
Mine too.
Play.
Yeah,
Mine
it
too.
was just a great game. It was good people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Colin.
This was my number. This was around us for me as well because it was just so fun.
Colin was Merlin, and I was good, and I was sure Colin was evil.
Yeah.
And I was yelling at the table how Colin was pretending to be Merlin to pretend to be good, just letting all the bad people around the table know exactly who Merlin was if they wanted to kill him.
And I was bad and did not know Colin was Merlin.
I had let the rest of my good team know that I was Merlin, except for Zach.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
To keep him in the dark so I could use that as an excuse to have people thrown off. And
Yeah.
it worked.
It worked.
Beautifully.
At the
Yeah, it was
end, they
great.
thought
It was fun.
I was Merlin.
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
Yeah.
Man, it was a good game.
Yeah, all 3 of the bad people thought there was a different Merlin, and no, one person suspected you.
Oh, right. One person
but,
thought it was me.
But the other 2 of us picked other people as well, so 3 different people. Yeah, it was just fun.
It
Really
was
fun game.
probably the best
I'm
game.
excited that it's so high on your list because I know you haven't enjoyed Avalon in the past, to the extent that I think Colin and I have.
Avalon is a tough game because so much of the game is just sort of finding reasons to talk about the game while you play the game, and trying to catch people on logical fallacies or catch people's tells, and a lot of it is just finding a reason to talk when there isn't a whole lot of information to talk about yet. And I think when you're a new player playing Avalon, it's very easy to give yourself away when you're looking desperately for something to talk about, and you accidentally let slip what your role is. And it's also really hard to think of some way to contribute to the conversation.
Yeah.
Right? Because everyone's trying to use logic and trying to justify different votes. And if you don't sort of know the language of that conversation, it's really hard. If you can feel really ostracized. But I think that game, we were all just cooking on the same. We were eating the same gumbo.
Yeah, we were eating the same gumbo.
Yeah. Your thoughts on Avalon there perfectly surmised how I felt about Blood in the Clock Tower. Was I didn't know the jargon going into it, so I was saying the wrong thing and I slipped up, and that is exactly accurate.
Yeah.
Nice. Good number 3. My number 3 is Flamecraft. Neither of you played this. This is the one with the cute little artisan dragons.
Very cute.
It's friggin' adorable. I did play the deluxe copy, and I was like, man, I see why people like deluxe copies. But I'm gonna hold strong. It was fun. It's a great little worker placement. You get a ton of resources.
Yeah.
That was one of the complaints around the table, is that you get too many resources, and you don't have to fight to get resources. You're just drowning in resources the whole game, but it's how you use those to efficiently and quickly. Plays really quickly. I think when you know it, could play in 45 minutes. A really solid worker placement game. This is one that I would consider picking up and adding to the collection, because I think the art draws people in, and it is so easy to learn.
That blows me away. Looking at the box and at the Kickstarter and stuff, I would have guessed at least an hour, 2 hour game.
No, never 2 hours.
Wow.
Maybe it was probably an hour, 45 minutes to an hour.
You've sold me, Chris.
Yeah.
You might really have sold me there.
It's really quick, because all it is, you have 2 stacks of cards. You have a stack of dragon cards, and you have a stack of enchantments. And so the dragons you can put onto shops, and when you put them down, you get a thing. Or the enchantments, you can enchant shops, and when you enchant them, you get generally points, right? And so you're just trying to get the most points. And if one of those stacks goes out, game's over. So your actions kind of revolve around doing these 2 things.
That does sound very fast-paced.
And so it just goes quick. The one thing that also was brought up for Flamecraft is that you can have a bit of AP, or analysis paralysis, of there are so many options out there, and only more and more shops grow as the town grows.
Fair.
So you're okay, there are 12 spots I could go, and I could make 3 different individual choices at these 12 spots. And then I also have these bonus cards that I'm trying to hold on to, and I'm trying to count these things up. What if you
can get overwhelmed.
Yeah, if you really try to maximize the potential, I think it could bog down and could not be as entertaining. But if you just go and you're like, I think it helps that you are drowning in resources, because then you're like, yeah, I can do anything. I'll just do that. Right?
Yeah.
And so like that encourages you to just do the quicker thing rather than be like, okay, I need to put these aside and these will be here, and where if you go next, you're going to just get a mitt full of resources that you can use again.
Yeah.
So you're not as concerned about it, or at least I wasn't as concerned about it. But yeah, quite enjoyed Flamecraft. Really glad I got to try it out. Yeah, great little game, and I think the retail version is very affordable for what it is. You don't need the deluxe. You miss out on the little plastic minis of the dragons, and you'll have little meeples of dragons. That's the difference. And you don't have metal coins. Like, who cares? I care. I care.
Who doesn't love metal coins?
But for double the price, right? Like for double the price.
I don't know. Minis can be real expensive.
Depends how flush with cash you are, I guess, at that time. Now that, who knows? Anyway, that's my number 3. What's your 3, Colin?
My number 3 is, my top 3 are all games that I have never played before.
Cool.
Ooh.
So in my number 3 slot is Planet Unknown. This game is great. It is fantastic. It's you have a planet, and you're putting little almost Tetris-like tiles down on your planet. Polyomino game.
That's what the cool kids call it.
The more you know. And you're drafting tiles from basically a Lazy Susan.
Yeah.
The first player who has the token spins the Lazy Susan to the spot that they want to take the tile from, and everybody else has their own sector and has to pick from that sector.
Yeah.
And then you're placing it on your board, and you're trying to fill rows and columns on your planet while avoiding specific conditions that your planet may have.
Yeah.
And certain pieces have comets or meteorites on them that you then have to deploy a rover to go pick up. And the more meteorites you pick up, the more you have. And then you've got your little tech tracker on the side where every time you take a tile with that symbol, you advance your tracker by 1 point, or however many points if you're touching a certain other tile. And
it's all about chaining things together.
Yeah,
right?
it's all about chaining and making efficiency. It's getting your planet and placing the tiles as efficiently as you possibly can to advance your tracker as fast as you can. And
cover the most of the planet, because you get points for rows and columns that you finish completely. Yeah.
But
nice.
I know the 3 of us played it together, and that's a game that I am going to go buy. That is a buy for me.
Nice.
Yeah. I know you made a video recently, Chris. I don't know how close to this publishing, but it was talking about variable player powers.
Yeah.
And I might put this game pretty high on that, because you got the variable planets, which have all a different challenge to building on them.
Yeah, they're not powers; they're like hindrances.
Hindrances. But they change the game so much.
The planet that I played on had little tiny space stations at each of. So the longest rows and the longest columns are worth 3 points, and then it goes 2 points, 2 points, 1 point, 1 point for the longer versus shorter. And at the top of each. The top of the ends of each row and column had a little space station, so it means that if I destroyed that space station, I could then collect the 3 points. But my planet had a condition where it said, for every undestroyed space station, collect 2 points.
Yeah. So yours was just good. Your
mine was
just good.
So I basically just filled in the columns that didn't have the space stations and left the space stations uncovered.
I think the trap there, Colin, was if you got to the point in the game where you have to draw a tile and you have to place it. And you start crushing your space stations because you've been less efficient than everyone else, right? Then you start losing crazy points, right?
Fair.
Yeah. But, so you get the different planets, and you also get the different corporations who also have different tech tracks.
Yeah.
And I might put this, I don't know if it was on your list, but I'd put it on the list of
it wasn't for variable player powers. No.
Yeah,
that's a fun one. Well, Zach, what's your number 2?
My number 2, Galactic Era. Man, it seems I did remember. I didn't want to give away that it was on number 2 on my list. Man, that was a great game. It was fun. Colin, I think, summed it up pretty perfectly. But I love the tech tracks in that game.
Yeah.
You get to near the end of those tech tracks, or even just really in the middle of them, and the game changes. I was the only player that was progressing on the propulsion track, and it lasts like 3 or 4 turns of the game. I could just blink around to different players' planets, and I'd been peaceful the entire game, just building up my population, and all of a sudden, my fleets were appearing above every undefended planet in the galaxy, and people were like, "How did you get across the whole board?" And I'm like, "Guess you should have traded propulsion with me, maybe." and then I just started bombing, just started dropping bombs, and man, was it fun. And my best friends were the religious apes, and then I made friends with the religious robots.
Not me.
And then I got to watch Chris' space fleets explode in a glorious fashion.
The story was Galactic War. It was only me and you all going to war.
Everyone, yeah. So,
I stayed peaceful the whole game.
Yeah, all the point incentives for the game were to encourage us to fight each other.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone around the table just played a peaceful game except for Chris and the person next to him.
Yeah.
We all just watched the carnage. It was great.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. It was a great game. Yeah, it was
great game. That was a great play of the game, and I also just think Galactic Era is fantastic.
Nice. Good, yeah, good number 2. My number 2, it's very, very close with number 1. I've kind of flip-flopped back and forth. This is a game that I know Zach will love. You didn't play it. It's one you came and I was like, Zach, you'll love this. And I described it very, very basically. I said, it's Push Your Luck. And he said, I love it. It's Quacks at Quedelinburg. I'd never played Quacks at Quedelinburg before. For those of you who don't know, well, you don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Tell me.
You've got a little bag of stuff.
Okay.
And you're going to be pulling out tokens one at a time. It's going to have like a number on them, and you move that space around your little circular potion.
Okay.
And wherever you stop, you get that many points and that much buying power to buy more chips to put into your bag to pull out for later rounds.
Okay.
But if you bust, you only get to choose one of the two. You either get to buy stuff or score points.
Ooh.
So you don't want to bust. It's much better to not bust, and you bust by pulling out over 8 value or more.
Yeah.
More than 7 value of white chips, and you start with like.
Ooh, that does sound like a lot of
1,
fun.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You have like 11 white chips.
So where's your copy of Quacks, Chris?
I don't own it.
We could have played it.
I don't own it, but it is one that I want to pick up.
That's a buy for you?
That's a buy for me. Like I want to pick it up. It was just such a blast.
It was sat and watched for a little bit, and everything I saw I liked.
Yeah. It was, and also I played with speaking of Deluxified components, they had the Deluxified like geek bits, which you can get from Board Game Geek Store. Which when you're doing a bag builder, I don't know, it feels like you want those upgraded stuff.
I mean,
I'm not one for Deluxifications, but like the feel of them was really satisfying.
I mean, you and I played Trudvang recently, which is another bag builder. And there's something not quite satisfying about pulling out little cardboard board discs.
Yeah.
Those the stones you were pulling out were the deluxe bit.
They were deluxified.
They look very cool.
That like it kind of feels like I would want to get that almost immediately when I got the game. But it was super fun. I think evidence by I ran into these lovely people, Ron and Yannick I played with. And I gave them my pitch if I wanted to do new things. And I said, well, I haven't played Quacks. And Yannick went, oh, we love Quacks. And I was like, well, there we go. Let's do that one. And 100% agree with that feeling. Like it was just fun, easy, push your luck. Not just so light, but just, it was I was in a grumpy mood. I was grumpy because I'd gotten the rules wrong to Azul. I was grumpy because then I played Deception and I thought that roll's dumb. I was just grumpy, and then I played this, and it turned my entire day around.
That's
like
fantastic.
It was awesome. Really, really loved it. Could have been number 1, maybe should have been number 1, but it's not. It's it could be though. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, that's number 2. What's your number 2? Colin?
My number 2 is. Now, don't make fun of me for butchering this name because I'm not a native German speaker.
Oh, right, I forgot.
It's Feierabend or Feierabend.
We didn't play it.
It's a, and I don't even remember the English translation of it, but it is a worker placement game where you have a union of workers, and you are trying to get them to be the most relaxed they can possibly be. So you are sending your workers to the park to have relaxation. It's a public park, so they get some relaxation, but you could pay a little money and send them to the motel and have a relaxation time there, or send them somewhere. Just getting relaxation is the name of the game. And the first few rounds, you go negative into the relaxation, so you're kind of forced to go to the bar to drink to get your relaxation up. But as the game progresses and you chain your relaxation, you can really get relaxed.
You can go to Relax Town.
You can go to Relax Town, population this guy, and the game itself is just so
theme.
Really
it's so simple, and the art design is beautiful. It's very like.
Relaxing.
It's very cartoonish, kind of almost Fallout in a way, and it's like kind of
cool.
cartoony. But and like the people I played with were good people, but they were very like
relaxed.
They were very relaxed and social and talking, and so I just wanted to keep playing the game. But their turns took so long to do their actions that I was like, they were into the theme. But I was really just like, I love this game. I want to keep playing. Let's get this going.
Right.
And you go to the union hall, you get strike tokens, and you can pay strike tokens to shorten the wage gap, to move up to shorter work weeks, and like it's a very, very fun game, and the art design is gorgeous, and it's a buy for me.
Cool.
I would definitely buy it.
I'm excited for you to buy it. I'm excited to play it with you.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun for just a simple, quick 45 minutes to an hour worker placement game. You can't beat it.
Nice.
I loved it. I thought it was great.
Oh, it's that quick too, eh?
Yeah, it's very quick. Yeah,
it's kind of, it feels like similar like Flamecraft then, like vibe of like good art, you know, easy theme, easy to table, easy to play.
I love the idea of a worker placement game that's like taking care of the workers after another worker placement game.
Yeah,
like
because every time you
after crisis,
because every time you retrieve your workers. Technically, your board where you keep your workers is work. So every time you retrieve them, that's why their relaxation goes negative. Right. So then every time
so you're the
one sending them to relaxation. So you're retrieving them and bringing them back to work. So now I'm sending them to relax.
I love that.
So it's not worker placement. It's relaxation placement. That's what it is.
It's worker deplacement.
It's worker deplacement. Yeah. It's so much fun.
Nice.
So, and so that's my number 2.
I love that. I love that I didn't play that and that it was like so high on your list.
Yeah.
Because I'm excited that you had that experience. I'm excited for us.
Because neither Zach nor Chris played it. Yeah.
New games. All right, Zach, what's our number 1?
Drum roll, please.
And I say our because it's the same.
Yeah.
Oh. How do you know it? How do you know?
I've been keeping track.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, my number 1. It's the spinning top, the lazy Susan of victory. It's
Planet Unknown.
Planet Unknown.
Yeah, it's my number 1 too.
So 3 on my list, number 1 on both of yours.
Yeah.
I loved this game.
It was so good.
The tile placement was like a good puzzle.
Yeah.
The picking the big lazy Susan you spin is like, it's a good like centerpiece for a board game. But it's also so functional. It's not just a giant box full of Roman buildings. It's it's like an integral part of the game.
Yep.
It has a bunch of different functions. It's good. It's like very good. I loved all of the statistics, the stats that you raise. I love that the powers you unlocked as you went up the tech tree. And I thought it was a very simple game at the beginning. And then I realized it was a more complicated game. And then I realized that I had misplayed that complicated game. And then I lost, and I wanted to play again.
Yeah.
And it's a great one. It's good.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. I looked up how much it is. It's currently sold out because I was talking about it a bit on the Discord. It's currently sold out, but hopefully we'll get another print run.
Yeah.
It's like $80 at 401 Games.
See, that is a good price point for that game.
I was hoping for it to be 60. In my heart of hearts, but I'm cheap and I would pay the 80.
I would comfortably pay 80.
Like I would want it in my collection
as well.
Yeah.
You know what we're gonna have to do? We're gonna have to pool a little bit, and we'll just get a copy for the house.
Okay.
Yeah. The house? This house? Okay, great.
Oh my God, whatever
house hosts the most board games.
Yeah.
Look behind us.
I wonder who that is.
I had such a great time with it. Everything about it was enjoyable. And I'm not a huge polyomino fan. Like, I'm not a huge Tetris piece fan, but it was the fact that everything you pick adds to this extra tech track, and you can manipulate that in your own special way, and you get your own player power with that thing as well. Like, it was great. Zach and I were sitting beside each other. You're fighting over neighbor goals, so you.
I forgot to add.
You share an objective.
You share that objective, and so Zach and I were the only ones competing about who can have the least meteors, right?
And I needed to move meteors off my board in order to do some things.
Yeah.
And here I am, all of a sudden, I have more meteors. Oh, I've lost that. But I have an objective on my other side.
Yeah, to take care of. But I also really loved that, like, just depending on the differences of the tech tracks, because you can have these sort of asymmetrical tech tracks. I looked over and Zach was really enjoying these little civilization cards. It's like, man, you guys need to get these civilization cards. They're incredible. He's like, you guys are idiots. You're not getting these civilization cards quickly enough. But my tech was all about, like, delaying getting the civilization cards, because then if I shot up on another side, then every time I got a civilization card, I got to move my rover and move up on a track. And so, like, I went up there, and then I just...
That's such a good ability.
We had the same one.
We did?
Yeah, we had the same board.
I guess I didn't play it right. Whoops.
Man.
But yeah, and then so, like, shooting up that, like, it felt... But the variance...
Mine was regression. Every time I went up on Civ and got a Civ card, I regressed.
You had to regress in another track, but if you hit level 4 of the tech track, you got to move something else up. So I was able to, like, move down to access an additional bonus.
So he chased tech first, and the whole game I was like, you aren't building your cities, you aren't building your cities. But at the end of the game, all of a sudden, you had all the cities.
And then I was able to, like, get
it was very cool.
That hurts.
But like, just the different combos that exist, the different variants of the planets felt really cool. That's one where I would be like, where's the expansion? Give me 20 more planets. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's something that I would want immediately. Go for it.
Something else I got to plug is none of us knew how to play the game.
Mm-hmm. No.
Yeah. None of us. It was someone else's game. It was sitting on a table in the convention. Chris, like, pointed at it, and whoever owned it was like, yeah, you can play it.
Yeah, I was like, I've heard good things. I want to play it. They're like, go for it.
Yeah. And so, like, I basically had to pick up the rule book, and we read it. Like, read the rule book to teach it. And, like, all the rules that are necessary for the game are on, like, 3 pages.
It's very straightforward.
It's incredibly straightforward. The setup is, like, super easy. Like, a lot of times when you sit down to, like, learn a game to teach it, you're looking at 10, 20 pages, and it's teaching you little fiddly rules, and it can take more time than playing the game.
Yeah.
It can exhaust you. I was super impressed in just this play.
Yeah.
We sat down, learned the game from the rule book, played it with expansion, or well, not expansion, with optional module bits. And it was also my favorite experience of the entire convention.
Yeah, it was great.
I think that's a glowing review.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's it. That's all of our number one.
Whoa, my number one.
I was thinking about that as I was talking. I was like, I'm going to do this funny joke.
Oh, you're so clever.
What's your number one, Colin?
My number one is Battlestar Galactica. That game took 6.5 hours, and I, at no point, was not having fun. And if a game can hold my attention for 6.5 hours, that is a winner for me.
Yeah.
That game is, like, I have never watched Battlestar Galactica, so I didn't know any of the characters or any of the lore behind the show. So I learned it as the game, not as from learning it from watching the show. So I don't know if that varies my opinion or if it changes things, but like, that game is so much fun. You are working cooperatively to run away from the Cylons to make a certain amount of jumps in a certain amount of time, but there are Cylons part of your crew that you don't know about. So you're randomly dealt, you are either a Cylon or you are not a Cylon. So there's, like, the first half and the second half. The first half, everybody's dealt their cards. There may not be a Cylon. There might be. The second half,
Your alignment can change.
Your alignment can change if you get dealt a Cylon card and you were a human in the first half. Oh, never mind. You're now a Cylon, and you now have to switch from helping to hindering but not get found out. Because if you're a Cylon, you get sent to the brig and you get shot out. You are done, and it was so much fun, and, like, I'm doing a terrible job explaining the game. I know I am.
You're doing a pretty good job.
But, like, I feel like for 6.5 hours, if you can have fun for that long playing a board game, 1,000%.
Now
So much fun.
my question for you, Colin,
Yep.
is if the theme. Well, it's interesting because you haven't played it. You haven't watched the show, right? So
Yeah.
you weren't that attached to the theme.
No.
If the theme was you're on like a regular boat and not a spaceship,
Mhm.
you got to get to a place doing similar mechanics, and you're fighting against giant potential Cthulhus that are going to burst through. Would that have impacted you at all?
No, I think the game it might be based on a very popular show.
Yep.
But I don't think the game itself, the mechanics, relied on the theme.
Cool.
I think the theme just enhanced it didn't enhance the mechanics, but the theme and the mechanics melded perfectly.
Yeah.
And so you could probably interchange that theme with everything else, and those are solid mechanics of a game.
Because it's out of print, and it's been out of print for a long time.
And it's sad that I learned that after I played it.
But people love Battlestar Galactica so much
Mhm.
that they have brought it back as Unfathomable, is what it's called.
Oh.
So you can get it. It's now accessible, and it's in that Cthulhu theme. So that's that's why I asked, right? Because
Yeah.
I knew you
I
didn't know that.
I think the game is not theme dependent because the
Mhm.
mechanics are so well built, and I just can't explain it more well enough than I am right now. But it is just top to bottom a very fun game.
I didn't play Battlestar Galactica this convention. I'm incredibly jealous that he did. It was one of the first big box games I ever bought. I've sold my copy like a fool just because I never had a big group to play it with. I'd be super curious about Unfathomable. What I don't know how the conversion works is because in Battlestar Galactica, every time you jump, it sort of resets the board.
Yeah.
And then you need to sort of play this little tactical puzzle with like fighter ships and bombers and trying to manage the space around the spaceship.
Yeah.
And the next time you jump, it sort of resets that tactical puzzle. I don't know.
Other Cthulhu's tentacles.
Oh, Cthulhu's tentacles.
Right?
Yeah.
And then your
little sea monsters can
your
pop out.
boats.
Oh, you have
to
like
go
little
punch it.
rubber dinghies or
Yeah,
something?
Probably.
Okay.
I don't quite know.
That's the only part of the game where I don't know how it translates to the ocean. But I'd play it. I definitely play it.
Yeah.
Well, it exists, right? Unfathomable does exist, and I think that it is great because so many people, I think, get to play stuff like Battlestar at conventions because that's where it comes out, where you have the time, you have people locked in a room for that amount of time, right? And then they go, oh shoot, I can't get it. That sucks. Or they're forced to to pay this like hefty aftermarket price of like 200 or whatever. You gave away yours for Steel. Whoever gave yours got the Steel of the Century.
I sold it the base game and all the expansions in a box. I think
for $100.
$100.
Oh my
Canadian,
god!
Well, and that like
I also was like someone really wanted to play it, and I was like, someone wants to play this game and will play it. It's been in my closet since university, and I haven't gotten to the table more than one time. Yeah, I'll totally sell it to someone who's going to play it.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah, I think you had a fair price for all of that expansion content. You know, like you could have gotten $400 for it.
I probably
guaranteed, right? But I don't know.
I'm not selfish.
I just I just
think of all the board games I could have got for $400 though.
That's true. One Lords of Hellas. So good number one, Colin.
Yeah,
really good number one. The other ones that I played just because while we're wrapping up, my honorable mention. I also I talked about Galactic Era. Avalon would have been around that sort of like 3 and 4 spot for me, and then Psychic Pizza Deliverers Go to a Ghost Town. I also ran a couple games of that, and that's a fun game. But I'll also have a review on that coming up, so not going to talk about it too much right now.
Yep.
We also played a couple prototypes from our friends who are designers. One just got signed, one is in the works. But we didn't add those to the list because they're not published, so it didn't feel fair to to talk about them, because thwe are games where if you're interested, well, then you could go out and get them, right?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And you couldn't go out and get these yet. So yeah, we might as well wrap up here. Thanks for sticking with us. Thank you, Zach and Colin, for spending all this time with me.
You're very welcome.
In this 2-part series. That's probably a 2-part series because we've been filming for like 2.5 hours.
It's been that long.
Yeah.
Time flies when you're having fun.
It was a friggin' blast.
Mm-hmm.
If you have the opportunity to go to a sort of local board game convention, that sort of local meetup, it's just a great time. You have the time, you set it aside, you have one thing that you are doing, and it is indulging in a fun hobby that you really love. and that's what made this weekend really special.
Yeah.
It was more special because I got to share it with new people and see you guys, and I know you guys will be coming back.
Oh, 100%. I will definitely
bringing more people, but yeah, it was just a great time. So that's a shout out to all the local conventions out there. Drop it in the comments below what if you're somewhere and what local convention you like to go to, because who knows, somebody else watching the channel might like that as well, and be your next favorite gaming partner. Zach feels like you want to say something.
Yeah, I just want to say
to finish us up. No.
I
Zach,
realized
you're ruining my exit. I want to just talk. Your time is done. No. I wanted to like obviously.
Yeah.
That was to wrap us up. But what do you guys think about your experience?
I just want to say I realize I've forgotten one thing on my list, and that is Arby's. King of the entire weekend.
Yeah, that's true.
We went to Arby's every day. All meals were at Arby's. Those delicious hot sandwiches.
Except the sushi day.
Yeah, but the sushi day was our cheat day.
Yeah, our cheat day.
Our cheat day from Arby's was with.
If you have a board game convention, get some Arby's.
Oh yeah, it's got to be in a town with Arby's.
And remember, all the comments below. I just want to see the word "shill" 1,000 times.
I want to see your Arby's
shill
order.
Arby's.
Shilling for Arby's. Arby's is great for people who haven't learned that the grocery store sells roast beef. That's what Arby's is really good for. And then if you want to just get somebody to dump poutine all over that roast beef, well then now that's what I found out what Arby's is for. I'm upset at how much I enjoyed my Arby's experience and how much I can't wait to return. That's what I'm upset about.
I love it. Oh my gosh.
Any other final thoughts?
Just like Chris had said, if you have a local convention that does board gaming, definitely get out to it, because everybody that I met at Niagara were the nicest people. Yeah. Everybody there is so welcoming to new people. If you don't know a game, somebody knows it. Somebody will teach it. If you don't have anybody to play with, somebody will see you and go, come on over and play this game. The people were the most welcoming, and that is probably the number one on my list, actually.
There you go. Nice.
That's my number one, the people.
Nice tie-in.
No, he topped Arby's.
They did top Arby's.
No, don't even make the joke, Chris. The people were the best part.
The poutine dip.
But the poutine dip.
The poutine dip was...
Get your bibs.
100%. That's I want to emphasize, especially even ranking these sorts of things, it would never be, I'm thinking of John Company specifically, right? I'm so happy I played it with the people that I did, really. Yeah. That, they're what made it okay. Having a good group around to play.
Worse.
Yeah, yeah. So really loved all the people there. Just I didn't have a bad interaction or experience, and everybody was so friendly and nice and fun to play with. So it was great. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. My name's Chris George.
I'm Zachary Groombridge.
I'm Colin Morey.
And I don't have a catchphrase.
Quick, Colin, come up with a catchphrase.
What?
I don't have a catchphrase.
That's his catchphrase.
Oh!
No, it's not my catchphrase. I don't have a catchphrase.
But I don't have a catchphrase is my catchphrase.
Chill.
Thanks, everybody. Go support your local Arby's, and we'll see you in the next one.